And welcome to today's webinar, Top 5 Success Strategies of the Mega Listing Agent with MAPS coaches Alexis, Weigand, and Emily Baker. Please note this meeting is being recorded and will be available on the MAPS Group YouTube channel. You may access the YouTube channel from your Zoom confirmation email, and we'll also share the link in the chat momentarily. Currently, everyone's on mute. We do value group participation, so we ask that if you have any questions for your coach, please type them into the chat box below, and they will be addressed throughout the webinar. Following this meeting, if you have any questions about today's call or our coaching programs, please email us at fasttrack@kw.com. That is fasttrack@kw.com. And that's all for me, coaches. Take it away.
Awesome. Thanks, Rodrigo. Hey, everyone. My name is Emily Baker, and I am a MAPS Mastery Coach. I also lead the group coaching program, the Mega Listing Agent, with my partner, Alexis here. We're super excited to go through the top 5 strategies of a Mega Listing Agent. So before we do that, let's give a little bit of background on us, who we are. And so I have led a team into Gary's Top 100. I focus specifically on lead generation, sales development, and system implementation. And I focus on the top teams in our organization, over 50 million in volume, usually over 150 transactions through operations, sales, and leadership. So super excited to dive into the top strategies with you guys today.
Awesome. All right. I'm Alexis Weigand, and I also, so Emily coaches our team as well. So we're in the top 100. I lead our team. I am also the lead listing agent. So all things scripts and listings are my passion. We are in San Antonio, Texas. We did just over 85 million last year in volume. And I do have a very young family, so I'm excited to teach you guys some of the strategies because my husband does not work in the business, and I've got 3 littles, boy, girl, 11, 9, and 5. And I think that I lead a pretty balanced life. So using the strategies, obviously, that we're going to teach you all today, the goal is that you can take some away and also leave a very big life in your business and at home.
Yeah, so the first strategy, which you teed that up perfectly, Alexis, is time blocking your calendar. It's interesting. Gary was asked a question about a year and a half ago. Someone asked him, Gary, what's the one thing that if an agent did, they would absolutely be successful in our industry? And he said, time blocking. So one of the things that we find in real estate specifically is, especially in this market, right? It can be a little bit chaotic, or our schedules can be chaotic. There can be a lot of offers to review, or a lot of showings that are happening, a lot of competitiveness, right, with listings. So Alexis, let's talk about our color coordinating and how we set ourselves up for success as a mega listing agent.
Awesome. So green is my favorite. That's your money making, right? Well, and let me start with know your appointment slots, right? So ours are always a 1:30, a 3:30, and a 5:30. We never, ever go on appointments in the morning. That is completely reserved for the afternoons, because our lead generation, which is green, because that's where we make our money. That is, so when we talk about color coordinating, your lead generating efforts are green. I always like to say the sky's the limit. So anytime you're doing something like this right now, where you're investing in yourself, then that is we use Google Calendar. So that's like the sky blue, because the sky is the limit. And then off of MAPS, right? Anything, if you're a leader in your organization, if you're a director of ops, director of sales, anything where you're pouring back or doing maybe a one-on-one with your team, we like to do that purple. And then pink for us is free time. You have to, whether you're leading your family, you're leading your team, you're leading yourself and your marriage, you have to, and you want to give and fill your own cup so that you have enough energy and enthusiasm to give others. So I love the idea of the color coordinated calendar. We've been using it for a long time, but it also lets you step back and just look at, hey, where's the majority of your time going? where do you want more pink in your calendar, or maybe more green if you're focused on raising your profitability? What other colors am I missing?
Yeah. So appointment slots, I'm glad you brought that up. So placeholders, when you know your goals, you know how many appointments that we need to go on every week, right? So when we talk about 1:30, 3:30, and 5:30, we put those on as yellow. And then your goal is to turn yellow red. So red light, no one can book over that, right? How many of you have people that have access to your calendar or put things on your calendar, right? And sometimes if you have inside sales agents in your organization, or maybe you have executive or administrative assistants, they're putting things on your calendar like closings or appointments. And sometimes we as agents feel like, man, I wish that this would have been a different time. So this is your time to take control of your calendar. And when you book the appointment, it turns red. It's also gamifying it, right? Because if you see that you have yellow at the end of the week, if you have a coach or a mentor or a leader, you can look at how many yellow are going to carry over to the next week. One of the things that I'll tell you guys that really changed both Alexis and my life is prioritizing your personal. The first thing that we do every single week when we're looking at our calendar is we're prioritizing our personal life first. And Gary has said this even recently at Family Reunion in his top mastermind group. He told all top mastermind agents, he said, you guys, work is work and play is play. And I work in between the time I play. You need to be prioritizing your personal and putting your personal first. And that can be sometimes a limiting belief in this market or in this industry, right? So when you have your time blocks on your calendar, and some of those could be recurring, right? If you have a date night or a play date with your kids, or you want to take your kids to breakfast on a certain morning or whatever that looks like, do that first, and then your appointment slots and everything else goes in between. So your lead generation activities, it doesn't matter necessarily when you do it, as long as you do it. So we don't erase it, we replace it. So if you don't get to it, don't beat yourself up about it. Just let's move it. And 1 hour is better than no hours. Is that fair? So that's one of the biggest things when it comes to when we're building out a calendar. Sometimes we get really, really specific and we get really jam-packed, like, yeah, I'm going to crush today. And you put your whole day, and one thing happens with a deal or one thing happens with an appointment, and the whole day goes to waste, right? So just start small I would recommend prioritizing your personal and putting your appointment slots and lead gen, and then everything else you can have it stack around. So next is pre-qualifying sellers. We use LTP Mama as a prequal. Alexis, why don't you tell them what is LTP Mama? What does it stand for?
And if you haven't heard of this, guys, this is something you're going to write down because you're going to memorize it. Okay. L is for location. So I'm going to run through this really quickly. When you have a seller on the phone, right, you need to get the location. What address are they calling on to sell? Timeline. Okay, by when do they want to have it on the market? By when do they want to be sold? Price range. What are they expecting? What do they think top dollar is in today's market, right? Because we absolutely need to know what their thoughts are before we go run a market analysis. Motivation. Out of curiosity, what does this move do for you? Is this an exciting move? Is it a job relocation? Are they moving to be closer to grandkids? Agency. Are you guys interviewing multiple agents for the job to sell your house? Mortgage. Do you need the equity out of your current house to go buy another one? When I sell your house in 30 days, where are you going? Right? That's part of the financial conversation on the listing side. And then appointment. All right, Mr. Seller, I sound like you and I need to meet. I have my calendar open right now. I have a 3 p.m. tomorrow or 3:30 tomorrow. Right? Does that work for you? Is a 3:30 or 1:30 or a 3:30 work better? So when you're in the car, because when you get the actual call, it's like you're at a kid's soccer game or you're like closing the door on your kid in the bathroom. You don't have the script in front of you. So very quickly, it's L, location, T, timeline, P, price, M, motivation, A, agents, M is mortgage, their financial situation, and A is book the appointment. And we run this both on the listing and the buy side. right? It's the same acronym, whether it's a seller or a buyer, or they're both. Do we want to slow down and actually like dial into that for them, Emily?
Yeah. So the pre-qualification is the number one thing that will increase your appointment gone on to taken ratio. Okay. So this is the most important thing when you are talking to a prospective seller to get this information, because here's what it does. Number one, what are we hearing with sellers right now? Put in the chat, what are some seller objections that you're getting? I don't know where what? I see some of you mouthing it. Yeah, nowhere to go. Yeah, where will I go? Where will I move? Where will I live? Yeah. So in location, it's just asking them. So great. So where are we moving to? Right. So where do they live and where are we moving to? For some of us, we're doing different prospecting strategies where you're getting inbound seller leads and they're calling and saying, hey, you sent me a letter. And I want to see, what you think my house is worth. Great. So if you were to accept an offer for top dollar in today's market, where are you moving? And it's just a non-invasive way to figure out where they're going so we can start to isolate that objection. Timeline reveals the objection. So what I like to ask people is, so Alexis, let's say that you get an acceptable offer for top dollar in today's market in the next 30 days. What would stop you from accepting and moving? And that's going to give you the timeline of, are they ready? Are they serious? Are they an A, B, C, D seller? And what is the level of their motivation? And then, like Alexis said, price, right? What do they think is top dollar and where are they basing that off of? Motivation is a great rapport builder because when you know why people are moving, it can help you show up. Like she mentioned, if it's a divorce, right? You don't want to necessarily show up to that appointment with gung-ho energy. Oh, I'm so excited to talk to you about selling, right? When that could be a difficult time. Or in retrospect, they could be expecting, a third child and it's exciting. They need a bigger space. And, you show up and you're not excited and they feel like maybe you don't want that listing, right? So it helps you meet the client where they're at. One of the questions we like to ask on agency in regards to interviewing agents, especially in this competitive market, is, so, hey, let me ask you, are you the kind of person that when and you want to make a decision, or are you the kind of person that you like to have all of the data and facts in front of you and then make a decision? This is going to help you identify, am I going to go first or am I going to go last? Because how many of us are going first and then they ghost us, or we call back and they went with someone else because they cut their commission or something else, right? So it's really understanding. So you put yourself in the best position to sign the agreement. And then obviously understanding their financials with mortgage. So pre-qualification, we go really deep into this more so and give you questions and everything in our course. And yet just know that LTP Mama, write that down. If that's one thing, that would be awesome for you guys or your ISAs or anyone who's pre-qualifying appointments for you to make sure you have before you physically go on the appointment.
Yep. You want to run them through UVP?
Yep.
All right. So next is you guys want a clear, unique value proposition. If you are, I don't know what market you're in, if you're not going up against a ton of competition and you're not feeling the heat right now. I've been a listing agent for 19 years, and I don't think I've ever felt the heat as much as I feel right now with competition, right? There's just not a lot of inventory. And so we're all competing for that next listing. It's who can get a signed listing agreement. So when we go into these listing appointments, what I want you to do is I want you to grab a copy of the MREA, the Red Book, the Millionaire Real Estate Agent. And I want you to turn to page 95. And you're going to review that because it gives you, and it literally goes through what your unique value proposition could be. So if you're not really clear, that's your homework, page 95 in MREA. But I'm going to share with you ours. Ours is knowing our value, because in the absence of value, it becomes a commission conversation. I want y'all to write that down. In the absence of value, it becomes a commission conversation, right? When you don't see value in someone's services, you're talking about their commissions or their or the pricing. So get really clear on articulating your value. For us, it's our numbers, right? So our numbers are our results. So it's marketing and negotiation. So we know our numbers in our market. Average days on market is 38 days. Ours is 4. So we can now say, okay, we sell houses 9 times faster than the competition. Our average sales price to list price ratio is 107. The average agent is 99. We sell ours 8% more. So if we take a $500,000 listing, we do the math. What's 5 times 8? 40. Just by choosing to hire us, we're putting $40,000 in their pocket, right? Yours could be like how much more money are you making from your staging, or do you do pre-inspections that save your sellers, seller concessions, right? It's just getting really clear on what your unique value proposition is, such that when you go to trial close them, right? What, if anything, would stop us from signing today or from you hiring us today? They are abundantly clear on the value that you're bringing, and they're saying yes before you've even entered into a conversation around what your fee structure is. Emily, what do you want to add to that?
I think for some of you, if you are newer to listings or you're newer to the industry, you could be thinking, well, my numbers may not match that. You can also use market center numbers or KW numbers against other brokers if that's what you choose. And there are many other resources, marketing, being a part of the #1 brokerage worldwide, right? The networking, the resources that we have that can really yield top dollar for sellers. You nailed it with the absence of value becomes pricing, because a lot of times with sellers right now, they're thinking, well, gosh, all you agents do the same thing. My house is going to sell, right? And I think the biggest thing that we can get clear with people on is it's not if their house is going to sell, right? Their house is going to sell in this market. Can we all agree? I mean, unless it's just like ridiculous, like it's going to sell. It's more so, how much is it going to sell for? So what I would really challenge you guys as listing agents to really think, or for your teams, is, what am I going to do what's the one thing that I'm going to do to drive the most amount of money in this person's pocket? And whether that's proven results like what Alexis was sharing, or it's other strategies around specific and strategic marketing that will yield top dollar, right? That's what people care about. Is it's not if it's going to sell, it's going to sell. They're going to hire the person that's going to bring them the most amount of money at the end of the day, because that's what it's about, right? Is what they walk away with financially. Which leads us right into the 4th thing, which is the message of the market, knowing your numbers. So like Alexis mentioned, your sales price to listing price ratio, your average days on market, what are the market stats for the area? What is our number of supply inventory? When we go into a listing appointment, or when we're having a conversation with a potential seller over the phone, we need to make it really clear that we're the expert without making it really clear that we're the expert, right? So what I mean by that is, when you throw out numbers like, well, just out of curiosity, do you know what the average home price is selling in your area currently? And they may say, well, my neighbor, or, well, I think it's around this, or Zillow said this, or whatever, right? And then you can show them proof and educate them on, well, the average home price in your specific area is $485,000. Now, let's be clear that your home is not specific or exactly like every neighbor's house in the community. Is that fair? And what do they all say? Because their house is a lot of times better than the neighbors. Am I right? So when we go through that, then you're going to look at, if I was a buyer who was looking to purchase this home, what would my competition be? What other homes might a client look at in also comparison to my home? And if we can't find inventory, right? If we're on the MLS and there's nothing active that is even in comparison, which again, comparison does not equal community. So let's be very clear there. You might want to write that down. Comparison does not always equal community, right? So if we are comparing it to what a buyer might be looking for, then we can show them what their competition is. If there's no actives, guys, then that's a positive for them. Hey, we have great news. There's nothing on the market, which means that we really are going to get top dollar. Demand's going to be high for your home. There's nothing with an in-ground pool that is in this school district for sale. So that's a positive for us, right? Out of curiosity, did any other agent share that information with you? Most times, no, because they're looking at the community. They're not looking at the competition. Does that make sense when you're pulling market analysis? Yeah. So then we can, so now I'm kind of just being respectful, but also just putting myself over the competition. And then we can say to them, so based on what would be a comparison, and you can go to pendings, right? This would have, and this is what this is pending for. Obviously, we don't know the exact numbers, but that'll give them a good gauge, which can help them come up with what they believe top dollar is. And yet we're guiding the conversation with facts and trumping the feelings of what they think is happening in the market. So knowing your numbers helps guide them to clarity, which at the end of the day, all a listing appointment is getting to know the client and their situation, and then getting them to the path of financial clarity. Every single person you meet with should have financial clarity on what top dollar is and where that is, what that means to them financially for their equity and what the next step is for them.
Yeah, and I'll give you guys a little something because I've been going on listing appointments where we don't have actives, right? And we really don't have solds, but the seller is saying, well, I want this. It doesn't make sense for me to sell unless I can net this amount of money. So I just tell them, guys, we're in uncharted territory. I've been doing this for 20 years and we have never been in a market with such low inventory right now. And we are literally setting records in every single community we step foot into. Right? You guys can all say this. And if you don't know if the market's going to support it, just say, listen, I'm excited to work with you. Let's go ahead and move forward at this price. And here's the deal. We're going into a partnership. You and I are partnering, and together we're going to go test the market. And if we can put together a deal where you net this amount of money, and maybe your UVP is how you negotiate, right? You might do appraisal waivers and waive due diligence, or get the buyer to pay for title policy, whatever that is. You can say, listen, if I can put a deal together in today's market and you can walk away with this because you have financial clarity in what their net needs to be, go great. Let's go give it a shot. Let's go put our best foot forward and let's go see if we can go find that one buyer out there, because all we need is one that's willing to pay top dollar, because you've got the marketing strategy, right, to go find that one buyer. And I really like telling clients in today's market and go, listen, guys, the reality is you can go put a for sale by owner sign in your front yard. You could go list it for almost nothing on MLS, right? Like they know this. You can go get a cash offer. I can bring you a cash offer from Keller Offers. You can go do these things right now, but that's not why you called me. That's not how I earn the opportunity to sit at your table and have this conversation with you right now. Because if I understand you clearly, you want to net absolute top dollar, and you want an agent who's going to go hustle and spend the money and spend the time to go find that one buyer that is going to be able to have you walk away with a simple and stress-free closing with, $500,000 in your pocket, right? They're going to go and say, okay, so let's go ahead. Let's sign the agreement so I can get to work for you. But I really like throwing out hey, y'all can go put a for sale by owner in, because don't think that they're not thinking that, or that they haven't already shopped OfferPad or all these other ones online, because they're either going to, or they already have. All All right, you want to move on to number 5, Em, or do you want to finish anything on the message of the market?
Yeah, so here's your tip number 5. Practice your scripts through role play. So in this market, is it fair to say that skill set matters? Yes. We are how many of you are competing? Put it in the chat if you're competing with at least 2 or more agents on listing appointments or seller prospecting calls. Yeah. Okay. Yes. Okay. So whether it is scripting for generating the listing leads, right? Because of the inventory state, right, that we're in right now with there's no homes on the market. Oh my gosh, inventory is at an all-time low. So whether it's going and finding the inventory, which as listing agents is what we do, or it's sitting down and going through what their goals are and what the solution is for them and the best next step and how to make it happen such that they choose to hire us when they need us. Skill set is everything right now. Practice your scripts. I always kind of use the example of, let's say that, a team wins the Super Bowl, right? And they win. Do you think that next season they're just going to stop practicing, stop showing a track, like, oh, we did it. We won. No, they're going to practice and that coach is going to push them even harder because they're going to have a target on their back the next season, right? So if you don't practice, you don't show up to games as best as you could, right? And so one of the things that I hear a lot is, gosh, realistically, it's just, I role play with people. Gosh, you're so much better than me. Gosh, the bottom line is that I was not great in the beginning, like not even a little bit. It's actually kind of embarrassing, but, it's the reps that I did. It's how many times. It's the driving in the car, talking to myself. It's the looking in the mirror, watching my smiling when I'm dialing, right? It's going at it and just getting back up and knowing that eventually I'm going to get really good at this. And yet there is a saying that we suck our way to success, right? And I think a lot of times we give up on sellers because we think that they're hard or we're not really comfortable or confident in the fierce conversations that sometimes need to be had. And if we just dedicate to scripting and practicing these conversations, you will become an exceptional listing agent.
Yep. All right, so we've only got a couple minutes left. What is the one thing that you can implement today? Is that your calendar and your time blocking? Is it maybe a script that you heard us say? Is it maybe you liked what you heard and you want to register for our upcoming course? And you want to make time for that because that is at 1:30 on Mondays. So just so you guys know, Emily and I do partner and we run the Mega Listing Agent course. It is 1:30 p.m. Central Standard on Mondays. So you can always start your Mondays off with us. And so this is going to be our Q2 launch. It's a $500 total investment. And the way that you guys can sign up is in the chat channel. It is the megalistingagent.com, or you can just go to the MAPS website as well. But let's go back. So we would love to have you guys in our course. We have a couple people that have taken it every single time with us because Gary says the first time you take a course, you're in first grade, second, you're in second. So let's see. I see a lot of time blocking on here.
Yeah.
And a lot of scripts. When you say time blocking, tell us what's the one thing what's the one color you're really excited to go get more of on your calendar?
I was a 35th person to join Keller Williams in the very, very beginning. And I put together a seller's homework packet to give to the seller to fill out and all their information and their mortgage and pricing and everything else. And it was great. It was a great thing to do.
Awesome. I love that. I got a question on the chat channel of how does the course help with lead gen? Emily built a huge team, right? And she built out their entire inside sales department. I would not live without my inside sales team, guys. They set 99% of our appointments completely qualified and on the calendar. They do all the confirmations. So we will teach you, this course is A to Z, whether you're a new agent or like, if you're like David and you've been doing this a while and you just want to maybe learn something new, we would invite you to join us. However, we will teach you how to find the leads, how to communicate with them, how to convert them, how to track them, follow up, close them, what to say, how to say it. We literally cover a ton of material. And I think that's why we've had a lot of success with people taking it several times already.
Yeah. So essentially what we do is, just to give you guys some context, is we go through over the 9 weeks in a sequential order. So we start off with your calendar. We actually give you a layout of the calendar specifically. So a lot of you, the time blocking and calendar was a takeaway. We actually give you tools and how to set that up. And then we give you some scripting resources, and then we go right into the top 5 marketing strategies to gain listing leads, right? So how do we get incoming? And then we go through the next week, the top 5 prospecting. So how do I go find the inventory and what are the proven strategies? And we go through systems, scripts, and resources all through those. So you'll get all of my scripts. I know a lot of our people have had a lot of success with that have consistently joined. And then from there, we go through the full pre-qualification process to the listing appointment itself, how to show what numbers specifically to pull, how to communicate those numbers, how to show up and come from curiosity and yet leave with the listing agreement signed, how to compete. We go through objection handlers, and then we go into the marketing. So then what's your marketing play? What is the proven scalable? That's the number one thing, right? Is scalability. If it's not simple, it won't scale. So how do we come up with a scalable process on the marketing and the administrative side? So whether, like Alexis mentioned, we have listing managers, ISAs, listing agents, rainmakers, sales directors, they all take our course, and your team can sign up and take it and all find valuable. So we go through all of that. We're super excited to launch just in time for Q2, because we know if we hit our listings taken goal, we hit our year end goal, and listings are the driver for this market. I think we all can agree, right? We've got to find the inventory, and it solves a lot of the problems with agent fatigue in our market right now, just with buyers, with losing out on offers or not finding what they're looking for. So we love listings. We love scripts. We love coaching and hanging out with you guys. So we're super grateful for you guys spending, this last half hour with us. We trust that you got some great information, and we're back actually on March 30th for dominating seller objections in today's market, where we are going to discuss commission objections, interviewing multiple agents. I can't find what I'm looking for. So we absolutely, yes, Amber, we do. And we will absolutely go through all of those objections with you real time. And we'll do live role plays on how to handle and overcome those objections. So it's free. March 30th at 1:30, and then our course launches April 6th at 1:30 Central Standard Time. So let us know if you have any questions. Reach out to us, reach out to MAPS, and you guys have an exceptional rest of your week.
Everyone.
Bye.